Hello! Today we're going to be talking about the flow of blood through the body and how the heart plays a role in that process. So big picture, here's what's going on. As the body uses up oxygen, its blood, the blood going throughout the body becomes deoxygenated and it needs to get oxygen. So it flows back to the heart to be pumped into the lungs, get oxygen, return to the heart so the heart can then pump it through the rest of the body. Then it needs to come back to the heart to be pumped into the lungs to get oxygen, go to the heart to be pumped to the body to drop off that oxygen. So that cycle continues. The lungs can't pump the blood directly into the body, so we have to keep going back and forth to the heart to be pumping. So let's talk specifically about how this happens. So blood is drained into the right atrium from the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. So all the blood draining through these great huge veins into the right atrium. From the right atrium, we pass through this right AV valve, also known as the tricuspid valve, into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, we are pushed up and pumped through the pulmonary valve into this pulmonary trunk, pulmonary arteries. We now go into each of the lungs through a series of capillary beds. Oh, there's that gas exchange. Now, this oxygenated blood now returns through these 4 pulmonary veins and dumps into the left atrium. From the left atrium, blood flows through the left atrioventricular valve, also called the mitral valve or the bicuspid valve, into the left ventricle. As the left ventricle contracts, it pushes blood up through the aortic valve into a great big vessel called the aorta. The aorta, this big one here, arches around, sending off branches that go to the head, the neck, the arms, then continues down, branches, and goes to all the various arteries all throughout the body. Now, once that oxygen is dropped off through the capillary beds, then we have deoxygenated blood that returns through the veins, starting off with the really small venules into veins, and those continue to flow more and more until we get to the great, huge superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, which goes back into the right atrium, and the cycle continues. So deoxygenated blood flows into the right atrium, down to the right ventricle, is sent to the lungs to be oxygenated. From the lungs goes into the left atrium, now oxygenated blood, to the left ventricle, and that oxygenated blood is then pumped to the body and then returns back to the right atrium again when it's deoxygenated.